Okay, so this is how you know that you have really good camera placement, is like when the reflection on your Mary picture in the background is the cross that's all the way over on that wall over there. That's how you know you have placed your camera in the optimal position, because Jesus is in the picture, like he always should be. On that note, Merry Christmas. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the third Rise Up Jerusalem AMA, Q&A, whatever you want to call it. Ask me anything. If you have any questions at all for another AMA, put them down in the comments below. Besides that, let's get started. You guys know the drill. Somebody asks me a question, I answer the question. It's so simple. First up, can you talk about in your next blog about dating a non-Catholic and what to do? Also, how to deal with someone you know is talking bad about you, how to approach that, or if you even should. Can you pray the pain away? Ooh, two good questions. So the first one, dating a non-Catholic. I'm not dating a non-Catholic, mostly because I'm not dating, that usually helps. But honestly, it's not the worst thing in the world. Some people will be like, you're not Catholic, this is bad, we can never be friends, oh my goodness, Jesus. Especially like if you're dating a Baptist, because most people think Baptists are like the anti-Catholics of the Protestant religion. They're all, oh, you're done tradition, Bible is the best. Actually, that's not very accurate. It's more like, hey, darn kids, just read your Bible and everything will be okay. Jesus loves you and Confederacy will reign forever. You will be surprised to know that that's actually not what most Baptists are like, but that's what most Catholic think Baptists are like. But there's a lot of things that all Christians believe in. For example, abortion is bad. That's pretty much a non-issue between Catholics and Baptists. We both agree, yeah, abortion's pretty bad. Abortion's bad, yeah, abortion's bad. Cool, all right, we're good. And I feel like we should be focusing on a lot more of the things that are good and not the things that are bad in general between Baptists and Catholics, or really any non-Catholic and a Catholic. Like, things we have in common ground. And that's honestly what I would say for dating, too. Like, if you're dating a non-Catholic, I honestly don't see an issue with it. Heck, I've seen a lot of non-Catholics who married a Catholic, and then they're, like, some really amazing Catholics. And so, I don't see anything wrong about it. I've talked about this before. Like, dating a non-Catholic isn't really a big deal. Tips on it? Honestly, just make sure you're living out your life in the way that you're not compromising your faith, because at some point you might be like, oh, I love him, so I must be just everything he wants me to be. But that's just for any relationship. You don't want to change yourself. You yourself should be what the other person loves. If you have to change yourself for this person, you're not in a good relationship. I mean, that's a Catholic relationship too, so it's kind of a non sequitur, but honestly, just be in a loving relationship, that's my biggest advice. And if you have other things like, oh, well, he wants to go to, the Baptist service, and then I can go to the Catholic service, and, we can both go to both, that's beautiful, because then he and you, or she and you, I keep assuming this is a guy, you both are seeking to understand each other through each other's forms of worship. And that's really what dating is about, is getting to know each other. So honestly, as long as there isn't like this big separation between you, I think you're fine. Of course, granted, eventually you'll probably want to mention to the non-Catholic that you're dating that, hey, if we, do go farther and get married and have kids, I know it's out in the long future, but like if we do, then they're going to have to be raised Catholic. And if they say, well, that's a no on sequitur, say goodbye, or, keep going, but say, like, this is something, okay, maybe we can come back to this, and they say, no, this shall never happen, then break up with them, because they're losers anyways. Not because they don't want to be Catholic, just because they're so unyielding and stubborn. My goodness, who would want to marry someone like that? Second part of that question, how should you deal with people who are talking bad about you? Okay, so there's 3 things I've always taught my little brothers. Never throw the first punch, always throw the second punch, and people are crazy. People are just dumb in general. Like, some people are just going to be overly crazy about the dumbest things, and honestly, just, God, don't worry about them. And I know that's so hard, but like, honestly, that's the best thing you can do, because you're just going to start getting annoyed yourself about whatever you're doing, and honestly, are they really worth that time? Because, like, let's be real. If people are already taking the time out of their day to say bad stuff about you, then they're crazy. They need to get a hobby. There's a place called like Hobby Lobby or Michael's, Joanne. Start doing like crafts or knitting or something, because you have way too much energy and time. Stop talking bad about other people. There's no reason to do it. And honestly, should you confront the situation practically? What should you do? I mean, it's hard to just say, oh, well, I'm just not going to worry about them. That's difficult. So honestly, just don't worry about it. If a lot of people know who you are, they're going to be like, that doesn't sound like them, and say, oh, I promise. And if they're like, well, I'm convinced, darn tootin', you promised? Well, they're obviously don't know you very well. So like, let's say these people are saying you were running around drunk, and all your friends are like, I really doubt that was possible. And they're like, no, I promise. And your friends are like, no, I legit doubt that's true. And they come to you and they're like, yo, this guy's saying bad stuff, but it's okay. We got you, dog. Those are good friends, and like, those are the people you want to care about. People who are saying bad stuff about you, it doesn't matter. They're just trying to be like, this person is bad, this person is bad, everybody's bad if I don't like them. So should you approach them? No. If you have people who know who you really are, that's all that matters in life anyways. Next question, what do you think about girl altar servers? This is about to open up a huge can of worms, but I don't think girls should be altar servers. That's just my personal opinion. Like I often do, we have to look at the intention behind what's going on to actually understand, like, what should be done. Did that make sense? Yeah, I think it made sense. Okay, that's good, because think about this. Altar serving is all about, like, helping the priest at the altar and being closer to the priest in the action. I think that should be reserved for guys, because girls can't become priests. So, like, they used to be called altar boys. They were altar boys because, like, they were going to be up close at the altar so that they could actually see what was going on and be closer in assisting God, that they would be able to discern the priesthood. Girls cannot discern the priesthood because they're girls. Not sexist, just a fact. So really, should there be girl altar servers? In my personal opinion, no. But that doesn't mean, like, I'm saying never, this is stupid, any girl altar servers. Girl altar servers, to me, are the least of the things we should be worrying about in the Catholic faith. Okay, maybe not the least. I think the least are probably like the flower ladies. Actually, no, they decorate well. I don't know what the least thing is in this church. I think everything is important, just like everyone's important. You're important. Good question. Going along from that question, have you considered religious life? I'm kind of discerning with the Dominican order, and a lot of your desires line up with their charisms, preaching the gospel for the salvation of souls and diving deeply into the mysteries of the faith, with a strong devotion to the Blessed Mary and the Blessed Sacrament. So what do you think? Here's what I think about vocations. I've talked about this before when I talked about, like, oh, what's my vocation sort of question and other AMAs. I think that you should be discerning up until you say, I do. Or up until you lay prostrate on the ground, all ready to give your life entirely to Jesus in some sort of priesthood or monkdom. Monkdom? Brotherhood. Brotherhood. That's the word I'm looking for. Dang, monkdom sounds like there's some sort of, like, warriors are running around with swords just being like, are you a heretic? Slice! But yeah, I think that you should be discerning that, and so in that instance, yes, I technically am discerning the religious life. Now, am I discerning it particularly? Not especially, and I'm not discerning it hard. I feel like with your discernment process, you should be just saying, hey, I'm just going to live my life the best I can. I'm going to stay free from sin. I'm going to do what I need to do in my everyday life. I'm going to go to Mass once a day. I'm going to keep the sacraments. I'm going to love Jesus. I'm going to love my neighbors. I'm going to love myself. And in that, God will show you your vocation. This isn't going to be like some St. Paul knocked off your horse all of a sudden moment. Slowly through, you're going to get something. It's going to be like, oh, wow, I feel really like this is what my call is. Those sort of vocations, and yeah, I could be in like 5 years called to be a Dominican, but we don't know that for sure. And I don't like the idea of stressing out about it, because it's like, why would we stress out? Because, I mean, God's going to tell you eventually anyways. If he doesn't, then just do what feels correct for you. And that's going to, I can't give straight up discernment like, here's what you gotta do, 10 steps to discern the faith. Because there's literally no way to determine it. Because honestly, if you're going to discern something, God is going to be directing you as long as you're in a state of grace. And I hate people who are like, oh, he missed his vocation. Because that's just like, no, he didn't miss his vocation. God just didn't call him to the vocation you wanted to call him to, Susan. So to answer that question, I am not particularly discerning the Dominican life, but that's actually a very good question. I feel like I should look into the Dominicans now. Dang it, man! Your thoughts on Marian Consecration? Well, I did it. I actually just finished it up a couple months ago. I got the Mary bracelet on. If you guys have noticed, I have the chain. Okay, I'm gonna take it off. Ah! Dropped it. Ah, dang it. I did this before and it's so hard. Okay, so what I did is I got, like, a lot of people do this where they have the metal chain that they wear after the Marian Consecration. And I made it into a bracelet, and at the end of it, I have a little tiny saint of Mary Undoer of Knots, which is this Mary right here, because she's one of my favorite Marys, besides Mary Our Lady of Guadalupe, or Our Lady of the Eucharist, which I have over there. I love Mary a lot, and I really love the 30 Days to Morning Glory consecration, because it went through some of my favorite saints, and said, okay, here's what they thought about Mary. Here's what a consecration to Mary means. See, because a lot of people get this confused where they say, oh, you're consecrating yourself to Mary. Isn't Jesus good enough for you? But it's like, yeah, Jesus is good enough for me. But on the same time, like, I really, really, really love his mom, too. So she can help me get to him, right? Because that's how it works. And so I consecrated myself to her saying, I'm going to... It's like when you... Like, they did this in old medieval times, too, where they would just go to the queen and be like, I am consecrated to you. And she's like, cool, now I can tell you to follow the king better, who's probably, like, my son. Mary, Queen, Jesus the Son. It's pretty good. And I love it. I think everybody else should do it. It gives you graces, and you're supposed to renew it once a year, and I can't wait to renew it. But also just clasping it on with the tiny saint of Mary is like the smartest idea ever, because I can just take it off when I'm going in the airport or something, or getting in the shower. Totally recommend 10 out of 10 doing a Marian Consecration, and then wearing a chain somewhere, because it's really legit. Okay, and always, we have a question about dating and relationships again, about what it means for people to be friends. So there's two questions here, then they connect, so bear with me. First question, how about guys and girls simply being friends, and how that can be a positive thing for young adults? And the second question is, why does the morally upright Catholic culture today encourage people becoming friends first and taking things slow even before going out on just a first date? Even in the era of our parents, people would want to go out on a first date even if they didn't know them well, just as a way to get to know them. And if it didn't work out a month later, no one's heart gets broken, everything was fine, since dating was just not a big deal then. Why is it different today? So this really comes into the question, if I could sum this up into one question, it's guys and girls being friends before dating. What gives? I think the progression should be something like what Sarah Swafford talks about, where she says, you start off as, friends, and then you become better friends, and if you think, if you're attracted to them and you feel like they would be, good to try to see if you could get married, then you date. Because dating is just trying to see, hey, could I marry this person? It's getting to know them better, up to a point where you can make a decision of, yes, I can date them, or no, I can't. That's all that dating is, and people try to confuse it like, oh, but there's all these gray rules and stuff about, like, what you can do. Honestly, can we not complicate it at all? Dating is hard enough as it is. So honestly, I think that's how it should be, and psychologically it's proven. Dating someone who is your best friend and then marrying someone who is your best friend actually increases the time of your relationship, better marital relations, if you get my drift. And all of that stuff is only increased by the fact that they were best friends. Marry your best friend and you're good to go. How does it change from the era of our parents? Well, from before, 400 years ago, it was like, oh, here is your betrothed. He's 30 and you're 12. But we're a little bit different from today. But if we're going just back to our parents' generation, they were more of like, oh, I'm going to go on a few dates with her, and then if it's that cool, then I'm going to go. Except for the guys would use the girls. Honestly, I think we should switch back to a thing of like more casual dating, where we do dating, where it's not like, oh my gosh, you guys are dating? Oh, when's the wedding? It's going to be so beautiful. Name your first child after me. We don't need any of that. What we need instead is just casual, like, yeah, I'm going to go on a date with her because she's fun, and I'm going to try to get to know her more, and if it's like, she's a great girl, but it just, it doesn't work. Or it's going to be, oh yeah, she's amazing. There's no pressure on dating. There's nothing like that. You just go on a date to go on a date, and there's nothing crazy about it. That's everything we should get back to, except for mine is like, oh, and then he did all this other stuff with me and with other girls. Life is not Riverdale, okay? Like, we don't need to have like, oh yeah, I'm just hitting this girl up. That's not a good kind of guy. Girls, if a guy's doing that, run. Run as far as the hills can carry you, my child. Yeah, I just think for young adults it's good, because if you don't have this pressure and you can hang out with guys and girls who are all the exact same, like, oh yeah, we're all just friends, and actually mean that, and not be like, oh no, we're just friends, we're not dating. 3 hours later into the movie, they're beaten face. Then you're good, because that's just so much more comfortable, and nothing's awkward, and it's just so much more refreshing and psychologically easier. So hopefully that answered the question. It was a bit complicated, but yeah, guys and girls should be friends and then date. Don't make the dating all crazy. Just make it simple. Casual dating and we're good to go. Hopefully all these questions made sense for you. If you want me to do another AMA, post your questions down in the comments below so we can do another one. The winner of this week's Rise Up and Swag Challenge is Michaela.Everson. She is wearing this amazing, never underestimate the power of a woman with a rosary shirt. And she told me that she's seen so many miracles happen to people and herself after praying the rosary, that she's happy that people will get to see the shirt and hopefully be inspired to say the rosary by it. So, everybody, inspired by her words, we're all going to say a rosary. Hand in, fist bump for confirmation. Just say a rosary sometime this week. That's all you're confirming. Boom. And thank you so much, Michaela, for sending in your picture of your Catholic t-shirt. If anybody else wants to be in the Rise Up and Swag Challenge, private message me on Instagram or on Facebook. Just a picture of you wearing a Catholic t-shirt, like boom, boom, boom. And then maybe you can get on an episode of Rise Up Jerusalem and be next to my smiling face, unless you don't want to do that. And okay, why did you just stick through like a 15-20 minute episode? Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Check out last week's video all about my journey through making this channel, because it's a fun one. So thank you everybody so much for watching, and as it was in the beginning, is now, never shall be, rise up and live.